Have you ever felt stuck while learning English? Maybe you practice, study, and even try to speak, but somehow it feels like you're not moving forward. You're not alone. I've been there too, and many English learners around the world face the exact same challenge. But here's the thing: sometimes the obstacle isn't your grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation. The obstacle is your mind. I want to tell you a story about a friend of mine. Let's call him Ahmed. Ahmed wanted to speak English fluently, but every time he tried, he would get nervous and make mistakes. He would think, "I'm just not good at English. I'll never be fluent." And because he believed that, he stopped trying new things. He avoided speaking in public, avoided practicing with native speakers, and even stopped listening to English podcasts. Can you see the pattern here? The thought came first, then the fear, then the action, or rather the inaction. Now, let's compare Ahmed to another person, Sarah. Sarah also wanted to learn English, but when she made mistakes, she didn't think, "I'm terrible at this." She thought, "Mistakes help me learn. Each time I stumble, I'm growing." This simple shift in mindset completely changed how she approached English. She started speaking with strangers, recording herself, watching movies without subtitles, and even enjoying the process of making mistakes. And guess what? Sarah progressed much faster than Ahmed. The difference between Ahmed and Sarah isn't talent, it's mindset. Ahmed had a fixed mindset. He believed abilities are fixed, that you're either good or bad at English. Sarah had a growth mindset. She believed she could improve through effort, learning, and practice. This is the hidden power I want to explore today: how a growth mindset can transform the way you learn English. Think about the last time you faced a challenge in English. Maybe it was trying to understand a fast talking YouTube video, reading a difficult article, or participating in a conversation with a native speaker. If your first thought was, "I can't do this," or "I'm not smart enough," that's a fixed mindset talking. But if you said, "This is hard now, but I'll get better with practice," that's the growth mindset in action. And here's something interesting: your brain actually responds differently to these two ways of thinking. Neuroscience shows that when you believe you can grow, your brain creates new neural pathways more easily. Every mistake becomes a small exercise for your brain, helping you remember words, grammar structures, and pronunciation patterns better than rote memorization ever could. Let me give you another example. I once taught a student named Lee. Lee had struggled with English for years. She could read okay, but could never speak fluently. At first, she was frustrated and ready to give up. But one day, we tried something different. I encouraged her to embrace small mistakes. "Say anything," I said. "It doesn't matter if it's wrong. The important thing is to speak." She was hesitant at first, but slowly, something magical happened. Lee began to enjoy the process of speaking. She would record herself, laugh at her mistakes, and try again. And in a few months, she went from barely forming sentences to having full conversations with confidence. The secret wasn't just her practice, it was her mindset. She started seeing mistakes as stepping stones instead of failures. You might be wondering, how do you actually develop this growth mindset? The first step is awareness. Notice your thoughts when you face a challenge in English. Are they discouraging you, Or are they motivating you? Start catching those "I can't" thoughts and gently replace them with "I can improve" or "I can learn." Next, focus on effort, not just results. Too often, learners focus only on scores, exams, or how fluent they look. But the real power is in consistent, meaningful effort. Did you speak to someone in English today? Did you listen to a podcast or read an article and try to summarize it? Celebrate these efforts, even if the results aren't perfect. Another powerful habit is reflection. After speaking or writing in English, take a few minutes to ask yourself, what did I do well, and what can I improve next time? Reflection trains your brain to see every experience as a learning opportunity. And here's a tip you won't hear often. Surround yourself with stories of growth. Listen to people who learned English later in life, who struggled but didn't give up. Read about how famous writers, speakers, and entrepreneurs learned through persistence. These stories reinforce your own belief that improvement is possible. I also want to touch on fear because it's one of the biggest enemies of a growth mindset. Fear of mistakes, fear of judgment, fear of embarrassment, it stops learners in their tracks. But here's the paradox. Fear often signals growth. If something scares you in English, like speaking to a stranger, that's exactly where you have the chance to grow the most. Lean into the fear. Embrace it as part of the journey. Let's take a mental experiment. Imagine two learners, both starting today. One thinks, I'm not good at English. I'll never be fluent. The other thinks, I'm not fluent yet, but I can improve with practice. 10 years from now, who do you think will be more confident, more fluent, and happier with their progress? The answer is obvious. The learner with the growth mindset will have taken countless small steps, learned from mistakes, and built real mastery. And here's something exciting: growth mindset doesn't just improve your English. It changes the way you approach life. You become more resilient, more curious, and more willing to take risks. You stop fearing failure and start seeking challenges. Every English lesson becomes not just a lesson in language, but a lesson in life. I want you to try something right now. Pause, take a deep breath, and think of one area in English that feels difficult. Maybe it's pronunciation, grammar, or speaking with confidence. Now, say to yourself, this is hard now, but I will get better. I will grow. Feel the difference in your body when you say that. That little shift in words can change the energy of your learning journey. Over time, you'll notice something amazing. Challenges that once felt impossible will start to feel like opportunities. Mistakes that used to frustrate you will become your teachers. And gradually, your English will grow not just in skill, but in confidence, creativity, and freedom. And the beauty is, the growth mindset compounds. Every time you succeed, even in a small way, you strengthen the belief that improvement is possible. Every time you stumble and get back up, you prove to yourself that you are capable of learning. And that, my friends, is the hidden power that can unlock fluency faster than hours of memorization ever could. So remember Ahmed and Sarah. Ahmed stayed stuck because he believed he couldn't change. Sarah grew because she believed she could. Which one do you want to be? The choice isn't about talent, it's about mindset. And the good news, mindsets can change. Yours can grow. Today, right now. you can start nurturing a mindset that not only improves your English, but transforms your entire approach to learning and life. Now, let's dive a little deeper into how this growth mindset works in everyday English learning. Imagine your brain as a muscle. Yes, literally like a muscle. If you never lift weights, the muscle stays small and weak. But if you practice consistently, even with small weights at first, that muscle grows stronger. Your brain works the same way with English. Every word you learn, every sentence you speak, every time you make a mistake and correct it, your brain strengthens its English muscles. I remember teaching a student, Raj, who struggled with speaking English. He could write emails perfectly, but when it came to speaking, he froze. At first, he would repeat the same sentence over and over, worried about mistakes. But I asked him to do something simply every day, say one new sentence aloud, even if it was wrong. Just one, that's it. At first, he hated it. He stumbled. He laughed at himself. He even wanted to quit. But after a week, he noticed something surprising. He was speaking longer sentences without fear. After a month, he was telling short stories in English. 3 months later, he joined a local English club and spoke confidently with strangers. Why? Because he embraced small, consistent effort and learned to view mistakes as growth opportunities. And here's a little secret about mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. They are signals. They are feedback. Imagine you're playing a video game. Each time you lose a life, you learn something. Maybe the enemy moves faster or a trap is in a certain spot. English is exactly the same. Every mistake teaches you something you didn't know before. Your brain is learning, adjusting, and growing with every stumble. Let's try a short exercise together. Think of a sentence you recently tried to say in English but couldn't get right. Maybe it was, I have went to the market yesterday, and you realized it should be, I went to the market yesterday. Now, instead of feeling bad about it, repeat the sentence correctly 5 times out loud. Then, say it once more and imagine yourself saying it perfectly in a real conversation. That little exercise trains your brain to associate mistakes with learning instead of shame. Now, I want to share a story about a woman named Maria. Maria moved to a new country, and English was everywhere on signs, in stores, at work. She didn't know anyone at first. Every conversation was terrifying. But instead of hiding, she took one brave step. She asked strangers for directions every day. The first time, she stuttered. The second time, she spoke a little more smoothly. And the third time, she even made a small joke in English. Maria's progress wasn't instant. She didn't wake up one day fluent. But every small step, every tiny risk added up. And the reason she improved wasn't just her effort, it was her mindset. She believed that each mistake, each awkward moment, was a stepping stone. And that belief gave her courage. That belief is the hidden power we're talking about. Here's another thing that growth mindset learners do differently. They enjoy the journey. Think about it. When you focus only on the destination, fluency, perfect grammar, sounding like a native, you set yourself up for frustration. But when you shift your attention to the process, learning new words, experimenting with sentences, making small improvements, suddenly English becomes exciting. Every day becomes a new adventure, a chance to try something new. Let's make this interactive. Right now, I want you to pick one small goal in English. just one. Maybe it's introducing yourself to a new person in English tomorrow, or reading one paragraph from a book aloud today, or writing 3 sentences about your day. That goal should feel achievable but slightly challenging. Write it down. Keep it visible. Every time you complete it, celebrate. This is how growth mindset works: small, consistent actions celebrated along the way create massive progress over time. And here's the beauty: the growth mindset doesn't just help you learn English faster, it also builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come from being perfect, it comes from knowing that you can handle challenges. Every time you speak, every time you listen, every time you write, even with mistakes, you are proving to yourself, I can do this. I can improve. I am learning. That confidence spills over into every area of your life. Now, let me tell you a story about a student named Daniel. Daniel wanted to be fluent for his job, but he constantly compared himself to his colleagues. They seemed perfect, while he stumbled over words. It made him frustrated. But then, Daniel started focusing on his own growth. He kept a journal of words he learned, sentences he spoke, and mistakes he corrected. Slowly his confidence grew. He stopped comparing and started celebrating his own progress. 6 months later, he was giving presentations in English with ease. The secret: he learned to love the process instead of fearing judgment. Let's pause here for a reflective exercise. Take a few moments and think about your English journey. What are 3 mistakes you made recently? Write them down. Now, next to each, write one thing you learned from it. Notice how even mistakes are treasures if you see them the right way. This simple shift from seeing mistakes as failures to seeing them as feedback is at the heart of the growth mindset. And here's something powerful: growth mindset is contagious. When you surround yourself with learners who embrace challenges, celebrate effort, and view mistakes as learning, you naturally start adopting the same attitude. Join an English club, follow inspiring learners online, or find a study buddy who encourages you. Your environment plays a huge role in shaping your mindset. Finally, remember this: English is not a test of talent, it's a journey of growth. Every word you learn, every sentence you speak, every fear you face builds your skills and your mind. By cultivating a growth mindset, you unlock not just your ability to speak English, but your ability to keep learning, adapting, and thriving in any challenge. So, as we continue this journey together, I want you to make a promise to yourself. Promise to embrace mistakes, celebrate effort, take small steps, and enjoy the journey. Promise to see every challenge as an opportunity, every fear as a chance to grow, and every success, no matter how small, as proof of your progress. And the best part: you can start today, right now. With the words you speak, the sentences you write, and the thoughts you choose. Your growth mindset is your superpower, your secret weapon, and your key to unlocking English fluency and so much more. Now, let's take a moment to talk about something that many learners don't realize. English is not just about words and grammar, it's about thinking in English. When I say thinking in English, I don't mean translating from your native language word by word. That approach is slow and frustrating. Instead, a growth mindset learner starts training their brain to see English as a natural tool for communication, like a brush for painting or a key for unlocking doors. And the amazing part: the more you think in English, the more your mistakes feel like natural stepping stones rather than failures. Let me share a story. There was a student named Priya. Priya was obsessed with translating every sentence perfectly from her native language. Every time she spoke, she hesitated, paused, and checked if it was correct. It made conversations exhausting and slow. But one day, we tried a little experiment. I told her, imagine you're telling a story to a friend in English. Forget grammar for a moment. Just speak. The first attempt was messy, hilarious even. She said things like, yesterday I went to store, and laughed at herself. But after a week of practicing this way, telling small stories in English, without worrying about perfection, something magical happened. Her brain started forming sentences naturally. She didn't need to translate anymore. She began thinking in English. That tiny shift, fueled by a growth mindset, changed everything. Here's a small exercise you can do right now. Think of a simple story from your day, maybe what you ate for breakfast, a conversation you had, or something funny that happened. Now, try telling that story in English aloud without worrying about mistakes. Don't pause to check grammar. Just speak. Notice how liberating it feels. The first time will be messy. But that's exactly where growth happens. And let's be honest, making mistakes in English can feel embarrassing. But imagine this. Every mistake you make is actually a sign that your brain is stretching and learning. Your comfort zone in English is a small bubble. Every word you stumble on, every sentence you fumble, pushes that bubble outward. And the more you stretch, the bigger your comfort zone grows. Here's a story about Tom, a student from Europe. Tom was terrified of speaking English in meetings at work. Every time he tried, his heart raced, he forgot words, and he felt humiliated. But instead of giving up, he made a plan. Every day, he would speak one sentence in English to a colleague, even if it felt awkward. Some days he failed spectacularly. But after 3 months, Tom was leading small discussions in English confidently. His growth mindset, seeing fear and mistakes as training, turned him into a strong communicator. Now, I want to share another secret. Your inner dialogue matters more than any textbook. How you talk to yourself shapes your mindset. When you say, I can't do this, your brain listens and acts accordingly. But when you say, I can improve with practice, your brain starts looking for ways to make it happen. Let's try this together. Say out loud, mistakes are my teachers. I grow every time I try. I am becoming better at English every day. Say these slowly. Feel the meaning and let your brain register it. Repeating these phrases daily trains your mind to adopt a growth mindset naturally. Now, let's talk about a technique I call micro-challenges. These are tiny, achievable challenges that push you just enough to grow without overwhelming you. For example, learn 5 new words today and use them in a short story. Record a 30-second video speaking in English and watch it. Don't judge, just observe. Ask one stranger for directions or information in English. These micro-challenges build momentum. They show your brain that you can face small risks and succeed. And small successes compound over time into big fluency gains. Let me tell you a story about a student named Alina. Alina wanted to speak confidently in English, but she felt frozen in group conversations. I suggested she start with micro-challenges first, 1 sentence to a colleague, then 2, then 5. Each step seemed tiny, almost silly. But within 2 months, Elena was actively participating in group meetings, sharing ideas, and even joking in English. Small, consistent steps, guided by growth mindset thinking, transformed her ability completely. Here's another interactive exercise. Pick one fear in English that holds you back. Maybe it's speaking to strangers, making phone calls, or writing emails. Now break that fear into micro challenges. What's the smallest action you can take today to face that fear? Take that step. Repeat it tomorrow. Slowly, the fear shrinks and your confidence grows. And here's a point most learners miss. Learning English is as much about emotions as it is about skills. If you feel anxious, frustrated, or embarrassed, your brain resists learning. But a growth mindset helps you embrace emotions as part of the journey. Feeling nervous, that's okay. Feeling silly, that's okay too. Each emotion is a sign that you're stretching and growing. Let me share a story about Samira. Samira moved to a new country and struggled with English. She would feel anxious every time she spoke, so she avoided conversations. One day I told her, let yourself feel nervous. That's proof you care. Speak anyway. She started taking small steps even when her heart raced. Over time, speaking English became less stressful, more natural, and even enjoyable. That's the emotional side of growth mindset, accepting discomfort as part of the process. Now, I want to give you a tool you can use every day, the daily reflection ritual. At the end of each day, ask yourself 3 questions. What did I do today to practice English? What mistakes did I make? And what did I learn from them? What small success can I celebrate? Writing down the answers, even for 5 minutes, cements your growth mindset. It trains your brain to see progress, not perfection. And here's the final story for this segment. There was a student, Ahmed, who had been learning English for years without much progress. He was frustrated and wanted to quit, but he decided to try something different. He adopted a growth mindset. Each mistake became a lesson. Each small success was celebrated. Slowly, month by month, his confidence and fluency improved. 2 years later, Ahmed was giving presentations, chatting with strangers, and even mentoring new English learners. His secret wasn't talent, it was mindset. So, remember, English learning isn't about being perfect. It's about growing, experimenting, failing, reflecting, and trying again. It's about embracing challenges, celebrating effort, and trusting that every small step moves you forward. Let's start with something fun. Imagine you're a detective in English. Every day, your mission is to observe, collect, and analyze language around you. It could be words in a movie, phrases in a podcast, or expressions in a conversation. Your goal isn't to memorize everything perfectly, it's to notice patterns, absorb naturally, and learn how people really speak. Let me tell you a story about a student named Leo. Leo struggled to remember vocabulary. He would memorize lists, forget them, and feel frustrated. Then I gave him a detective challenge. Every day, pick 5 English words from real life sources and write a short sentence for each. Use them in a conversation if possible. Leo loved the challenge. It felt like a game. And within weeks, he remembered words much better because he used his brain actively instead of passively memorizing. You can try this now. Take your phone, notebook, or computer. Pick 5 English words from something you read, watched, or heard today. Write a sentence for each. Speak them out loud. Even if it feels awkward, do it. This is a micro-adventure in English, and it's powered by growth mindset, thinking, experimenting, learning, and improving step by step. Now, let's talk about role play, which is one of the most powerful ways to practice English. When you role play, you step into a scenario, make mistakes safely, and learn how to handle real conversations. You're training your brain to think on your feet in English. I'll give you an example. Imagine you are ordering coffee at a cafe. Instead of worrying about perfection, just speak. Hi, I'd like a cappuccino. Please. Can I get it with almond milk? How much is it? Now let's make it more interesting. Pretend the barista misunderstands you. They ask, "Do you want a latte instead?" How would you respond? Try saying, "No, thank you. I want a cappuccino." Or, "I'm sorry, I meant cappuccino." These mini role plays are golden because they let your brain practice real life English safely. And each failure or stumble becomes a lesson. Let's expand this further. Imagine a more challenging scenario. Asking for help in a store, explaining a problem at work, or giving directions to a tourist. Write down 3 such scenarios you might face in real life. Now, create short dialogues for each. Speak them out loud. Record yourself if you can. Every attempt, even if imperfect, is strengthening your English brain. Now, let's move to storytelling practice, which is one of the most fun ways to apply growth mindset. When you tell stories, you combine words, grammar, and creativity naturally. And the best part? Mistakes feel natural because stories are flexible. Here's a simple exercise. Pick a personal experience from today, this week, or last month. It could be something funny, embarrassing, or exciting. Tell the story in English out loud, focusing on communicating the idea, not grammar perfection. Use gestures, expressions, and imagination. Pause after telling it once and think, what words or phrases could I improve next time? Retell it again and again. Each retelling strengthens your brain and boosts confidence. I want to share a story about a student named Hannah. Hannah was shy and afraid of speaking. I asked her to tell a story about her weekend. She was nervous at first, barely speaking. But after a few tries, she laughed at her mistakes, tried new words, and added details she hadn't thought of. By the end, she told a vivid, funny story with confidence. Growth mindset in action, mistakes, plus reflections, effort, progress. Now, let's turn this into a mini-game. I call it the 3-word story challenge. Here's how it works. Pick 3 random English words you know. Make a short story using those words. Speak it aloud, even if it's silly or awkward. For example, words cat, umbrella, train. Yesterday my cat ran onto the train. I had to chase it with an umbrella. This game is more than fun. It trains your brain to think creatively in English and embrace mistakes. Because the goal isn't perfection, it's growth. Next, let's add a reflection pause. Take 5 minutes and answer these questions in your notebook or aloud. What is one fear I have about speaking English? What small action can I take today to face it? What is one mistake I made recently, and what did I learn from it? Notice how even a short reflection keeps your brain focused on progress, not perfection, which is the essence of growth mindset. Now, let's do a listener affirmation session. Repeat these phrases slowly and with confidence. I grow stronger with every word I speak. Mistakes are opportunities, not failures. Every day, my English improves. Oh, I embrace challenges because they make me better. I am confident and capable in English. Say them aloud multiple times. Feel the meaning. Let your brain register these truths. This is mental training for growth mindset, just like physical exercise strengthens muscles. Finally, let's talk about long-term vision. A growth mindset isn't just for today, it's for the next month, year, and even 5 years. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. Picture your English fluency. Picture conversations, reading, writing, and your confidence. Now, break that vision into small, daily steps. Maybe listen to a 5-minute podcast daily. Speak 5 sentences aloud every morning. Write 1 short paragraph about your day every evening. Consistency compounds. Every small step, every mistake, every reflection adds up over time. And with a growth mindset, the journey itself becomes enjoyable, exciting, and rewarding. So, as we reach the end of today's journey, I want you to pause and reflect on everything we've explored together. Think about the stories you heard: Sarah, Elena, Hannah, Maria, and even Ahmed. Each one shows the same truth: English fluency isn't about talent. It's about mindset, effort, persistence, and the courage to embrace mistakes. Remember, mistakes are not failures, they are lessons. Challenges are not obstacles, they are opportunities. Every small step you take, every sentence you speak, every word you learn is proof of your growth. The hidden power of a growth mindset isn't just about improving your English. It's about changing the way you approach life, embracing discomfort, celebrating effort, and believing in your ability to grow. Take a moment to think about one thing you can do tomorrow to practice English, even if it's small. Speak a sentence aloud. Write a short paragraph. Tell a tiny story. Make a small mistake and laugh at it. Each of these tiny actions compounds over time into real progress. And finally, promise yourself this: you will approach English with curiosity, with courage, and with joy. You will see mistakes as stepping stones, challenges as invitations, and every day as a chance to grow. The power to transform your English and yourself is already in your hands. So keep going. Keep practicing. Keep embracing growth. Your English journey is not just about learning a language. It's about discovering what you're capable of when you believe in your ability to improve. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Remember, your growth mindset is your superpower. Use it, nurture it, and watch how far it takes you. Until next time, keep speaking, keep learning, and keep growing.